vous offensez de faire pénitence. Je crois en Dieu le Père Tout-Puissant, Créateur du ciel, de la terre, Jésus-Christ, son Fils Seigneur, notre Seigneur qui a été conçu du Saint-Esprit, né de la Vierge Marie et descendu aux enfers, d'où je me qui je le vivant de la mort. Je crois au Saint-Esprit, à cette Église catholique, la communion des saints et à la vie éternelle.
Amen. Back again in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, here to shoot this documentary. Hopefully this documentary will give you inside information, Voodoo, especially from the Elmera perspective. This tradition has been in my family for 70 years. I hope that you enjoy this documentary. Let's get to action. Well, I can't begin talk about any of the law without beginning with this guy here. Well, I know it may look different to a lot of people in the Western world, but this here is the tree for Legba. This is where we serve Legba. I know everybody's used to seeing Veve, some people are used to seeing St. Lazarus, but this is where we make our offerings to Legba. This tree right here, you know. I don't know the name of it in English, but c'est en pied sirène, we say in Creole itself, you know. So this guy here, this is Legba. He is the god, or the god, what do you say, God, not God, you know, not like the English God, but God as in the guard of the Laku. You know, he guards this area, this whole general area itself, you know, this yard. Yeah, so this is Legba here, you know, this is our Legba. We feed this tree, we make offerings here, you know. I'm definitely going to take you to where we make our offerings for the Kakbet, or the four owners. Right here, before we do anything in this yard here, we serve what you call the four mets, or Kakmet. You have the owner of wood, the owner of death, the owner of crossroads, and you have the owner of water. So before we do anything, what we usually do is that we basically dig holes, and we basically, you know, light whatever we need to light. You know, afterwards we're done, we brush everything from food, whether it's the food, whatever, and we brush it in the holes we dug. And that is our way of connecting with the four owners itself, you know. So this is how our family does it, you know. Before we do anything, we make sure we take care of them, and then we move on with the rest of the rituals itself, you know. I mean, some people say Legba comes first, but in this Laku, this is how we do it itself, you know. The four Mets, the four owners first, and then we move in to everyone else itself, you know. That's how we Elmeras do it in this Laku. Laku Legacy. Well, the first room we're going to enter into is Bosu's room. Just like any person in our family, we treat the Loa with respect. You know, basically, this is a ritual which we usually do. Before we enter into any room, we always knock on the door out of respect for the Loa. So I'm going to take you into Bosu's room, and pretty much you can see, you know, how we, you know, where we work at, you know, when we're basically petitioning them, or when we're making big ceremonies. Well, as you can see, this is a room for Bosu. You can pretty much see the horns here of a bull. You can see that on the floor. This here is pretty much the horns of a bull itself. We do our rituals in here for Bosu. For people who don't know Bosu, there's Bosu is basically represented as bull. He is a strong force that removes opposition from our lives. You know, there's many aspects. There's a couple of aspects of Bosu. There's Bosu Tuakon. You know, there's Bosu Jabalo Bosu, as many knows whatsoever. So this room here is basically to Bosu itself. You know, there really isn't an aspect for him. You know, like here is just Bosu. You know, I know, as I just said, there's like a couple of aspects that I just mentioned itself. This is just for like Bosu. next, chamber, and stay tuned. Yes, this here is a shrine for Ezili, Dantor, and Ogun. In our family, we marry them together. And when I say marry, we basically found that this is a harmonious blend. So you can have them together, and the energies will work harmoniously without any conflict. So those of you who know of Ifa, not to mix Shango up with Ogun, because they're going to conflict, they're going to fight. So this here, we know for generations that, for decades, that this is what worked for our family, and it worked very well, So that's why we have the photos together. Again, this is stuff that was, these here were left, like the photos were pretty much left from my grandfather. So nothing's going to change, and you can pretty much see this Catholic, the Catholic influence here that he left behind. So this is the way he did it, and this is the way it's going to continue to be done. In the West, I know I do my things a little different, and I have a different opinion about the way things are supposed to be done. But hey, this is the way my old man used to do it, my older man whatsoever, and this is what he left behind, and this is a tradition that will continue in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I will take you to the next shrine. Well, here we come to the shrine of La Reine Ezili. I know many people know about Ezili Freda, Ezili Daume, Ezili Gun. There's many aspects, but in our family, this is La Reine Ezili, and next to her is Saint Jacques. Yup. Saint Jacques. I know in the Western world they use Saint Jacques. Sometimes they use Saint Jacques as Ogun Ferraille itself, but for us we just use it as Saint Jacques, and this is La Reine Ezili. This is how our family used to do it. My grandfather used to do it, and this stuff has been here since since he was alive. You can pretty much see her drinks and stuff like that. Pretty much stuff that has been updated, with my uncle himself. But this is her shrine. This belongs to her. Everything on this altar belongs to her. With that said, I'm going to move on to the next room now. Yes, here again, next room. This room here, I think many people have an idea. They've seen the veves many a times, This here, as you can see, it's a cross, and you can pretty much see what they see as what you see as a representation in the veves. You see like this big, I guess this base, and then you see a cross. This is where we worship Baon La Croix. Some people say Baon Samedi, but to us it's Baon La Croix, because Baon La Croix is basically his color is black, and the cross is what he represents itself. In Voodoo, many say he's a judge of the dead. If you listen to Wawa, you heard of this song Bawon Bom Justice, Bawon La Croix Bom Justice. I believe there's a song of Wawa, Racine La. He actually sings that itself. So in Voodoo tradition, Bawon La Croix is considered, amongst Voodooism as the judge of the dead. Where Baon Samedi is considered as the god of the dead, but different places they may say Baon La Croix and Baon Samedi is one and the same. So this is it for this room here. We're gonna move on to the next room. Well, we're in the ancestral chamber here. There's a couple of loa here. I will just give you a detail for here, so you can see. This here is pretty much this hoovy here. In America, we call them urns and stuff, but this doesn't have like dirt in here whatsoever. They didn't disintegrate anyone whatsoever. This here is the hoovy of my grandfather. in Voodoo, we have a thing called reuploading. You know, so we could pretty much say that my grandfather, they removed the loa from his head. So you can pretty much say, you know, in various ways that his spirit rests within his goofy itself, you know. Yeah, the spirits that was with him pretty much rest in here. So you can pretty much say that part of him, all that is in the mixture here. And these are the spirits of various other people who passed on before my grandfather. You know, and they did that ritual, and they put them all in here. So all these people are pretty much ancestral spirits itself, you know, people that's in the family whatsoever, generations ago, you know. Yeah, so this is a long history we're talking about, you know. Yeah, I'm going to bring you guys in here a bit. This here, many people may know him as Cousin. Well, this is my cousin. You know, I don't work with Cousin at all, period. This is a law that, you know, goes back generations. My grandfather used to serve itself, and, you know, my uncle serves itself. Yeah, I don't really know too much about him, but this is the law that my uncle serves. Yeah, and I'm going to show you here, the camera's not adjusted yet, but I will adjust it, you know, so you can actually see in a bit. You can see remnants of things that belong to Ogun here, because we pretty much do rituals for Ogun in this room, you know, to the side, and we do things for Cousin in here. So I'm going to tilt it down so you can actually see. Well, this here belongs to Ogun Freda. You know, the color red, you know, pretty much in the machete itself, this belongs to Ogun Freda. So in this room here also, we pretty much take care of Ogun Freda as well. You know, very hot spirit. And again, I made a video recently about Ogun Freda. Is definitely underrated in the United States. Very powerful law. So we'll move on to the next room. Yes, well, this is the ancestral room of my grandmother. Ancestors on my grandmother's side, pretty much on my dad's side, you know. Let me say that again. Basically, this room here is on my grandmother on my father's side, and this is pretty much the goovies, pretty much that house the spirits of my ancestors on my grandmother's side. So you can pretty much see all these here. These are goovies, you know, they house the spirits of, you know, my ancestors on my grandmother's side, you know. Oh, my grandmother, the name was Carmen Dizel, and I didn't mention my grandfather's name, and I'll definitely mention it now. His name was Elmera. It's a long story behind the name Elmera. You know, it's kind of a funny story too. Well, basically, we're actually supposed to be named Pierre, from what I was told from an uncle of mine. It was a time where he had to have his birth certificate and he couldn't find his birth certificate, so they didn't know what to, you know, name to give him. So what my grandfather did was chose the name of his grandfather, who was from Cuba, you know, and that's where he took the name Elmera from. So with that, that's how we became Elmera. So we're going to move on to the next room. We'll talk, you know, a little bit more about other law. Alrighty. That was a family member singing. Well, this room here. Well, you hear that? You hear that? So that was a family member singing. Like, yes, this room here belongs to Met Agwe and Simbi on des eaux. So I'm going to take you in here. Again, you must follow the ritual. So if you ever come to Haiti and you basically come to a laku. If you're going to enter a room, remember, you knock. Pretty much, this is the shrine for where we worship or serve Agwe and Simbi on des eaux. So you can pretty much see this is a bassin or basin. We fill up with water and stuff, you know. Sometimes we depose food, you know. But yes, this is where we hold the rituals for Simbi on des eaux and Agwe, this room here. Man, it's hot out here. But other than that, I guess this concludes this part of this documentary. Yes, we got other places to go. Stay tuned. Yeah, pretty much here. This is Ogun Cimetière in Port-au-Prince. Pretty much the most, you can say, very revered spot for like Guédé, Loi of the dead. This here, as you can see, is pretty much the tree of Mapillon. Some people call it Gun Mapillon. Some people would say it's another aspect of Ezili, like another aspect of Ezili. But other than that, but this is Gun Mapillon. It's pretty much the cemetery for all the pretty much Guédé Loi itself. Within that family, we're going to go through Bawon. He's going to walk you through and a little bit about the area. Definitely got to make sure you guys see how they actually do burials in Haiti, which is different from a lot of burials that you actually see in the US because everything is on slab. So I'm going to take you a depiction of that, but so you have a depiction of this. This is pretty much the shrine for Mapillon, Gun Mapillon. So, yep, hope you see it. Take a couple of photos, and definitely we'll have something to show. All right. Yeah, pretty much as you can see, you can take a look around here. This, for you guys that are in the Voodoo, it's a big difference. You're not going to find dirt from people's grave out here. You can think of taking from their grave, but as you can see, everything is cemented. So if you're talking about coffins, breaking into people's coffins, you're not going to be able to do that. Everything's on stone. Everything around here, you won't find any dirt whatsoever to basically pull from someone's grave. Everybody's cemented. So I would say this. When it comes down to the whole concept of zombification, it's not happening that easy itself, because the thing is everything's under dirt, and not even just that, it's basically casted with like cement itself, so no access itself. So once you're dead for real, and you're not coming out. So other than that, we're gonna move to the shrine of Bawon. From there on, that's what we're about to do. Pretty much here at the shrine of Bawon in Haiti. I know in the US we actually see a base. When we're looking at the veve, there's a base right here. This is a stone base itself. So when you see the veve, this is a representation of it. And then you have the cross. So in the US, this is what we have, and you may see goats walking around. That's because the goats is actually sacred to him. That's what they get there. That's why they have them around here. But as far as the shrine, this is it here. So if you come to La Gun Cimetière in Port-au-Prince, this is where you'll find it. This shrine here is a shrine of Gun Mapillon. You know, I know a lot of us see a lot of pictures of her, and well, we see a lot of veves of her, but we haven't really seen a shrine of Gun Mapillon. This is at La Gun Cimetière. This is the shrine. It's pretty simple. Put all your offerings around the fire. That's how she receives the offering. Many people in America have heard of another aspect of Bawon. This is Bawon criminel. You can pretty much see it. This is a shrine, and you can pretty much see the death spot. So when you got enemies, people come here in the community to make their petition towards Bawon Criminel. So this has already, someone has already done their ritual, you know, for Bawon Criminel to take care of their enemies itself. So this is what I got here. So this year, as someone just made their offering or their petition, or we call it in Creole a demon. So the person was, well, the person had a lot of enemies, so I guess the person came here to take care of, you know, their business. You know, and that's what we call it, taking care of your business in our country, in my country. Well, this part of the video is going to be about violence in Haiti. As you can definitely see, pretty much I'm holding this. Because there's a lot of violence here, you never know. You know, you definitely got to have some type of protection being in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. You know, I would definitely say if you're coming as a visitor, people may think that, okay, you got a lot of money. So, I mean, my family has experienced kidnappings, ransom, so it becomes something where you got to have some form of protection, you know. I mean, some people say, what about, you know, the spirits that you work with? You know, you're into magic, you're a boko. Why does this protect you? No, the thing you have to understand is that there's a balance between spirit and physicality. So the thing is, if you know, you can't just rely on spirit without having the backings of the material world itself. You know, that's how the spirit works through. So I mean, you know, when you're living in Haiti, you know, you learn of a practical voodoo. It's not something where it is, oh, just this pie in the sky theory. You know, it is something that is balanced. You know, you have the physical world that's addressed as well as the spirit world addressed. But as far as violence goes in this country, if you're in the wrong place, you know, you'll definitely have some problems. You know, the best thing I could recommend if you're coming into Haiti, you definitely want to have like some, I guess, you definitely don't want to roll by yourself. You want to roll with people that you know, family. If you can get a bodyguard out here, that would be a good thing. You know, you just can't come out here blind and just figure you're just going to run, like walk into certain neighborhoods. Likelihood people are going to look at you the way you look. You don't look like the area, so you'll definitely have some problems. So, I mean, I definitely will talk about, you know, I'm definitely going to talk about an assassination attempt. I'm going to, you know, the car's not here, so the car's going to be pulling up soon. Well, the van, I guess the SUV is going to be pulling up soon. It was an assassination attempt that happened a while ago, so I'm definitely going to bring you to that. But living in this country, you got to have one of these. You can't live here without having one of them, especially if you're a person that has status or your name is well known. Port-au-Prince, you definitely can't be a weakling out here, you know. When you're in Port-au-Prince, you definitely gotta be a tough. You gotta be tough. You can't be weak. See, if you're going to like live in a hotel, and you know you're going to live in a hotel when you come down here, that's not really nothing, you know. Until you living out here, you're getting your foot down on the dirt, on the broken slab, on the broken pavement itself, you know. You really won't have that much experience, you know. I mean, for me, again, this is a thing. I've been in and out of Port-au-Prince. I lived down here when I was a kid. Back here again, you know. It's just something that you just gotta be a person that commands respect. You know, when you're out here, you can't just be flaunting around like, you know, you're cool with everybody. You know, just like the United States. You know, in the black community, it's the same way. But only here, you never know. Yes, people will look kind, but it's easier to be deceived out here by the kindness itself. You know, everybody's smiling out here. Unlike the United States, you definitely got people that will let you know that they don't like you just by the way they look, you know, especially in the black community. Here, it's a little different where people will smile in your face and they'll be the same one to plot your demise. You know, it's really crazy out here, you know. But again, you gotta be strong. You definitely gotta be a person that's respected, you know, and you gotta be stern. You know, you got to be that way. People gotta know you don't fuck around, you know, period. You know, that's just the way it is. I mean, there's other people that got their approach, but when you're talking about the Elmera family, you don't fuck around, period. We don't, you know. God that's what I have to say. Yeah, as I was telling you before about violence down here, I'm just gonna give you like a quick run through about how real this stuff can get down here. So when I'm talking about a lot of things I do say whatsoever, I just want to show you from experience, from like up close and personal shot and evidence, and give you guys evidence. Now, we know in the United States, when you see car drive-bys, they usually have like a long object that goes into like bullet holes itself. So I'm gonna direct your eyes itself. This was actually an assassination attempt that was done on someone close, like someone in my family, and I just want to show you from here this angle. Now, basically, they was riding through a town, and basically it was like gunmen, and they basically tried to kill a passenger, whomever. Who knows if it was a setup whatsoever? I don't know. It could be that they happened to go in a bad place itself. Basically, you had guy come out of nowhere and shoot. Now let me let you see how lucky this person was. But we know in our tradition there is no luck, See, if you follow the bullet passage, it went through, the bullet came through here, and you can see I'm going to leave this wood in here, and maybe I'll give you a close-up so you can actually see the direction of the bullet. The direction of the bullet came straight through here. Now if I'm in the passenger side, this is the side my heart's on. Oh, door is locked. Let's see if I can get it through the other side. So if I'm sitting in the passenger side and you check the direction of the bullet, if the bullet came through here, likelihood it would penetrate my lungs or catch my heart. So, letting you know, real deal experience when you come down to Port-au-Prince. And if you think that you're a tough guy, I definitely say don't try it out here. What is Haitian Voodoo? Well, Haitian Voodoo is definitely a practice that originates in Africa. Haitian Voodoo, you could say it's more of like a Benin tradition that originates from that region, Benin. But back then it was like that region, you could say the kingdom of Dahomey, Togo, those places and stuff. They no longer call that, there's no longer called that. Today you could say that region is called Benin. But when you talk about Haitian Voodoo, it's definitely different from African Voodoo. Yes, it originated there, but some of the origin, a lot of people from Haiti, say their origins from that region. But you can say that Haitian Voodoo is a mixture of various other traditions itself. Like you say Nagu, you say Congo. These are basically the rites that we have in Voodoo came from people from that region. So we definitely have parts of Congo tradition in Voodoo, parts of Nigerian tradition in Voodoo, parts of Benin tradition in Voodoo, but you say Voodoo evolved in a sense where it became something that took its own position in Haiti, where it took on some concepts of Catholicism, it took on some concepts of occultism, European occultism, Kabbalah itself. I mean, if you're talking from a Western, like in a Western world, when we talk about Haitian Voodoo, it's not really the same as it is in Haiti. You find more people, more of like independent, what you'd call Wunga Makut, whereas more of an instance of people do their own thing, not being necessarily part of the community, which is like glorified over there in the Western world. But Haitian Voodoo itself is really a practice of ancestral veneration, as well as veneration of saints. Now when I say saints, it's not necessarily the Catholic saints itself. This was just a guise that Africans used during the time of slavery to continue their practice of, revering the, powerful people of their African tradition. Some spirits we have in Voodoo originated in Haiti itself, Now, the thing about that, sometimes people say, what do you mean by originate in Haiti? Some of them originate in Africa. These spirits originate in Africa. Some of them did originate in Haiti, meaning that they were born in Haiti, and after they died, they became revered or deified itself. Then there's the other aspect of voodoo, which is more of the different aspects they found in Haiti. Some of these aspects are not found in Africa. It is basically something that is only found in Haiti, you know? So you won't find Legba Met Kafu in some African traditions itself, you know, or you won't find certain aspects like, or guys like Bawon Samedi in African traditions. Yes, there's gods of death in other African traditions, but in the Haitian aspect, in the Haitian tradition, it is Bawon. So, but when we're talking about Haitian voodoo itself, it is something that took a turn for its own. You know, practice of Haitian people, it is definitely different from what you have in the Western world. In the Western world, there's a glorification of zombies and painting your face and all this death stuff, you know. And it's more than that, you know. It's like a person who goes to church. A person goes to church, they praise God, you know, and basically, you know, like you say, your praises go up, your blessings come down. So it's the same way in voodoo, where we make our offerings. Our offerings is our way of praising God, you know. Yes, it may be through intercessors, but these are what you would say are aspects or faces of God, you know, incarnated in a form of people or deceased, you know, deceased loved ones or deceased great people itself, you know. God is in everything. In voodoo, God is not just something that's isolated into a one world. I mean, it's like God is in everything, everywhere you go. You know, it's not something that is just something where you say it is just one place, one thing. It is a broad force that is concentrated in everything, from the rock, the stone, the river, the air, the water, the fire, you know, human beings, animals, you know. So it is something where when we make our offerings, it's not just, you know, to a spirit itself, you know. It is our way of connecting with the spirit as an intercessor to God, you know. So that is my take on Haitian voodoo. Can anyone be initiated into Haitian voodoo? I would definitely say it all depends on what house you come from, meaning what laku you're part of, what society you're part of itself, you know. Definitely, it's not supposed to be for everyone. It all depends on what laku you go to. I know in the United States, anyone can join with like money, but when you're coming into the country, there's definitely a wall of silence behind who can be initiated, who cannot be initiated, you know. Basically, it's like something that's very sacred. Look at it like this, is that the tradition, it is a religious tradition as well as it is a way of life. As well, it can be turned into a weapon, you know. So imagine imagine it being turned into a weapon, how much power a person will wield, how much power a person will have in their hand. Now, to give that to anyone, that's like you know, that's like erroneous, because you know that person is going to use that power for the wrong purposes itself, you know, for the wrong purpose or cause. So that's why it is definitely monitored. A person is monitored who is able to learn and who is not able to learn, you know. It all depends on your character and who you are, you know. But that's what I could say about that, you know, about, you know, that question. But as far as initiation, I want to say this, is that initiation, it is like today in the West, anyone with money can just pop up and be like, you know what, I want a konzo, or I want to get konzo, or whatever. Anyone can do that, you know. This is like, yeah, you know, I don't know, you know, what community these people come from, but it's just something that, that is definitely frowned upon in Haiti itself, you know. A lot of these, you know, these voodoo practices in the Western world, I can say that, you know, if you use the standard from which we have in Haiti, you know, you definitely say that these people went in error. They went astray from, you know, the way we actually have it laid down here itself, you know. Like, that tradition is something that's supposed to be sacred. That's supposed to be saved for either people in your family or you know, people that you feel that is worthy of that. When you talk about initiation back in the past, or the view on initiation back then, you know, it was like, you know what, you had to do very crazy things to prove yourself, you know, and it just had to be something about you that the person saw interest in to basically be able to teach you the tradition. Now it's like a money cause where anyone can get into it, you know. Well, food. That is a very funny topic to me, because it is something that, you know, many Westerners know of in Voodoo. It is basically called Goofering. Well, the difference between that and Haitian Goofering, or Goop, is that is more of something that you could say that is mixed with toxins, poisons itself, you know. When you're talking about in the Western world, it is something that you could say graveyard dirt mixed with sulfur or whatever, you know. But over here, it's like toxins, you know. So when you hit it, the intent is basically either to maim you or kill you itself. Or you could say, if you want to talk about zombification, you can look at it in that light as well. But today, you can mainly say that a lot of that is more of like maim to kill itself. So goofering is something that is like, well, food is basically something that's meant to harm your enemy, most likely to kill them whatsoever, you know. Recently we had a situation where someone actually was a victim of that. Person walked through their house, and for some apparent reason, I guess, they happened to ingest something that was sent to them whatsoever, and they fell ill after eating it, you know. That stuff happens here, you know. It's like, yes, I talked about violence in Haiti. This is another form of violence in Haiti, you know. That's just the way it is down here. Poverty in Haiti is real. It is not like poverty in the U.S. where, you know, you don't have and you're supplied with like welfare. There is no welfare in this country. It's either you're going to basically find something to do, or else, you know, or else you're going to starve. You know, that's just the way it is down here, you know. You really got to, down here, you see people hustle everything to make ends meet, you know. I mean, from old shoes to like old tools, anything that people can find. Down here, everybody is trying to make it, you know, everybody's trying to make it. That's just the nature of this country. Poverty is very real. People have the capacity to work and there's no jobs for them. So it's like people find a means to do whatever they got to do. When you walk through Port-au-Prince, you see some of the, you know, you see some of the most hardest working people out here. You know, like when you see people out here, you see people basically struggling. You can see a person carrying like a I don't even have a word for it, but we call them boulettes. It's like a big object, like I'd say like a long object that people carry with wheels, and sometimes they load it up with a lot of blocks. So you can see one man sweating, barefooted, running through hot pavement, you know, with this big long wooden I don't even know the term for it, you know, but it's like a big wooden object that's like that's used to like carry material, and they're running through the streets with it and stuff, you know. And that's just showing you the type of things that people put themselves through to make ends meet. It's very sad, you know, because with people working that hard, you say to yourself, where is this getting them? You know, everybody's working to survive by the day out here. You know, I would say Voodoo is, I would say it's a community tradition. You can't have Voodoo without having a community. When you think of the ceremonies in Voodoo, you see, I would say, speaking from a Haitian perspective, or speaking from a Haitian point of view, Voodoo is a community effort. You can't have a Voodoo ceremony without having the community. The community comes together to make the ritual or ceremony possible. You know, when you think of the offerings or the sacrifices that are made, you know, unlike how unlike the Western thought of, we sacrifice animals and just get discarded animals, you can say that is no different from butchering and then preparing the meat for food. You know, we take part of our food, our meat, and we make it as an offering. You know, we have a saying, you know, which means that people don't eat before the spirits itself. So when we make our offerings or we make our sacrifice, they have their share and then we have ours. So when we say voodoo, I mean, we have this Hollywood perspective of people with paint on their faces, you know, people sticking people with dolls with needles and stuff like that. That is really Hollywood. That's really Hollywood fiction. You know, when you're in Port-au-Prince, you see Haitian Vodou as very different from what you see in the movies, especially Hollywood, because you see it as a poor country, and you see in this poverty, the people still have light in their lives, because you can say that they're practicing. You know, if you want to talk from a Catholic perspective, it is as though, as well as it being a community effort, you can see it as a religious effort as well, because this is where people find their redemption. This is where people lay their problems. You know, it is no different from a church. You know, when you go to church, you pray. You know, it's just a different way of us communicating with God. You know, so there's a lot of views as though, you know, there's this and there's that, and you know, there's more than one God. Every voodooism knows that there is one God who manifests in many ways. You know, we can see God in nature. You know, we can see Him in human beings. We can see Him in animals. We can see Him in the air we breathe. You know, it's definitely something that God is not outside of His creation. You know, God is in His creation. It's through His creation that we find His power. You know, even though we may have terms like well, not terms, but we have statements that Montreal travail. It is because we don't have a mystery God. We don't have a God which we do not see as in active in our lives. God is active in our lives. He is active in every part of our lives. We just don't see Him. So when we say symbolically that, you know, God is not here, or Yal Travail, that means that you can't see Him. He is not a white man with a beard in the cloud. You know, He is in creation, you know, but He works through intercessors or intermediates itself. Or we can look at them as faces of God, or different manifestations of Him. Each and every one of us is imbued with the qualities of God, and each and every one of us as individuals is a manifestation of God. So whether it's a person who passed on, many say, we speak of the Loi and Voodoo, these are nothing more than people who once lived, you know, who after they passed on, they became deified as no different than Catholic saints. It's just that in Voodoo, it is of people that passed on in Haiti or passed on in Africa that became deified, and we pay homage to these people that actually lived. But in the same essence, as I said, we are all parts of this omnipotent, omnipresent reality itself. So, you know, this is Voodoo, and from my perspective.
Philomène, je m'attire, accordez-nous miséricorde.
Saint Philomène, gardez-nous bien à sa puissance, obéissance.
Saint Philomène,
je m'attire, accordez-nous miséricorde. Saint Philomène, gardez-nous bien à sa puissance, obéissance.
Sainte Marie, Mère de Dieu,
priez, priez.
Voodoo is evil. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I can't speak for everyone, and it all depends on what a person calls evil. You know, if we see a guy or we see someone who beats their lover, you know, and then the person goes out to, you know, get some help, you know, to resolve their problem, you know, is that person, you know, is the person who gives that person the justice they want evil? You know, I mean, for real, we have to take our situations, you know, these situations into consideration. You know, what do we call evil? You know, and what is evil? You know, I haven't found a definition of that. You know, a good definition of that word as of yet. You know, so evil. If you're talking about, you know, if you're talking about work, spiritual work, destructive magic, you know, I would definitely say not every voodooism specializes in that. Some are just basically, that are in this tradition, are basically, they basically, well, not every voodooism does magic, you know. There's a lot of them out here that don't know anything about it. You know, they're not magicians, they're not sorcerers, you know. There are some people that do specialize in it, like especially myself. I do specialize in esoteric practices myself. I would definitely say that not everyone out here actually does it, you know. Mainly what you'll find when you talk about voodoo, you have people that practice it in a religious sense, you know, as well as a family tradition, you know. Before anything, that's what you mainly find. So to talk about everyone's out here doing benevolent work, that is very misleading and you know, very I'd say, yeah, very misleading, you know, because I mean, in the Western world, that's what we find. We find you know, we say this, we say that. Even we find a lot of people, you know, that's in the church, they say this is demonic. But you ask yourself, you know, or the people, you ask the people that are claiming that this is evil, you find most of the time it's basically people who are of African descent. And you ask them, how do they gain Christianity? You know, they'll tell you that the Lord gave it to them, you know. But if we do history, we'll realize that the slave master gave him that book which we call the Bible, you know. So with the practices that we have, you know, we can see that it is something that has been demonized from the beginning when we was taken out of, you know, when we were taken out of Africa. It doesn't matter anywhere, you know, anywhere that Africans have went, you find the same scenario where their traditional practice were outlawed, banned, you know, demonized, and you know, and they were given the good book, the Bible, you know. So I mean, you know, that's just the way it is out here today, you know. So I don't really have too much to really argue about when it comes to whether a person wants to say that it is evil, whether it's not evil. I would just say this: you have a lot of people in the church, you know, robbing poor people of their money, you know, doing a lot of, you know, wicked things, you know. I mean, but you also find a lot of good people in the church doing good for the community, doing good for like humanity in general, you know. So in every tradition that you go to, you're going to have people that are working on the aggressive side for their own interests, and you have people that were more up on the benevolent side that do things for, you know, for a greater cause. So it is just not a principle, you know, if we're talking about this quote-unquote term evil, it is not just something that is associated with voodoo. Anyone can be good or evil in their actions itself. So if we're talking about terminologies, then that's what I mean. So that's what I have to say. When was I initiated into it? Well, I say that I was never initiated into it. It was something I was born into, you know. I can just think about when I was a child. There's many complications that arose in my early development itself, you know. Many people thought I was going to die at birth, you know. And even as a child, you know, I made it through and I'm here today, you know. There's many things that I learned in the Western world that later on in my life I found in practices of family members that were in this tradition. So I would say that it was something that I wasn't taught. No human being actually taught me. It was, I feel, a divine intervention or a calling, as we may say in church, you know, that I was called to do this work. You know, everything was just placed in my way. Everything was here before I got here, laid down for me as in what I need to do. Everywhere I went, they gave me a piece that led me into one avenue, another avenue. So whether it was this Palero, whether it was this Sandro, you know, whether it was this Wunga, whether it's this Mombo, you know, so in the Western world, you can pretty much say that when I was in America, my mother, you know, pretty much was there. I lived with my mother, and then pretty much what they did was they gave me the church, you know, and that's what I was brought up into. They never like brought me up in a tradition to know about this. It's like something I think that my parents wanted me to keep me away from, you know. But I don't know what their reason was for it, but I know they probably felt for their best, you know, for the best for us. They didn't think maybe, well, I'd say that they felt like probably it wasn't something that they wanted for us to get into. But as far as me, I found that I just was drawn to, you know, when I first started off, I didn't start off as, you know, researching voodoo as a tradition itself. You know, I didn't start off there. I started off with many things, you know. Again, it started off from basic tarot card readings, you know, from, you know, mind you, I didn't meet any uncles, you know, like to speak about these things whatsoever, you know. I may have talked with some uncles at the time when I was beginning my journey, you know, but a lot of the stuff came from me through different sources, and that's what kind of got me on the path. And when I got to a certain point, I said, you know what, I'm studying all this stuff and I'm learning and making these great experiences in these traditions like the Goetia, Kabbalah, you know, transcendental yoga, you know, and I'm having all these great experiences. And I said to myself, you know what, I have never turned back. You know, I have never researched or Ifa. Well, yeah, making all these great experiences with Ifa, transcendental yoga, Kabbalah, Goetia. You know, I said to myself one day, you know, I'm Haitian. You know, there's so much of a taboo on voodoo. I mean, I'm into everything else, you know, and I'm pretty good and grounded in a lot of these other traditions. So why is it that I'm not in, you know, why haven't I basically searched back into my tradition? So it led for me researching and making my own experiences with what I knew from other traditions that, you know, that I came across, and I started putting the pieces together. You know, putting the pieces together. Oh, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is that guy? Who is that guy? So as time went on, I started doing things from how I arranged the altars, from what I heard from, like, you know, basic traditions of Ifa. You don't mix Shango and Ogun together. And then finding out that there's a concept like that, or in Voodoo where you don't mix Ezili, Freda, and Ezili, Dantor together, you know. So it became something where I started seeing a commonality between these African-based traditions, and it was my base. And from there on, you know, knowing that I had the ability to communicate with spirits itself, you know, it was as though they directed me in everything I need to do, you know. So when I came across my uncles and they would talk to me, they always asked me, how did I get into this? How did I, like, you know, how did I come across this? Because everything that I started doing myself was things that they were doing, you know. And it was like something that was like shocking to them, because they never understood how is it that I just fell into it. You know, how did I just fall into this tradition? I was raised in a church. My father never really spoke to me about it. My mother never spoke to me about it. How did I just stumble upon this? I'm doing veves, I'm, you know, communicating, I'm, you know, the loi is basically, you know, mounting me, you know what I'm saying? So it was something that, again, when you talk about it, I don't ever think that it was something that you know, we can say, to say religious, you know, konzo. I never did that, you know, and I would definitely say from the amount of lives that I've actually helped, a lot of people I've actually helped, you know, there is substantial evidence that, you know, my coming into voodoo was authentic, because it's not about what you say, it's about what you can do. You know, it's not about who initiates you, it's about what you can do, you know. So my life bears witness. You know, now you know, I can say that I've connected with family. It's been a couple of years now since I've connected with family, and I am deeply entrenched into my culture, into my native, you know, tradition. So this is what I have to say about that.
I'm finished.
Nous sommes regardés, pour nous devant tous les.
Je sais, c'est nous, notre espoir est tout en vous. Je regarde, mais je regarde, soyez-nous, nous sommes regardés, pour nous devant tous les, pour nous devant tous les.
Well, these are my final hours of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I hope you enjoyed this documentary. Thank you guys for watching.